A single ruling can shift an entire narrative, and in the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, that moment has now arrived. What was once an unclear and developing situation has taken a definitive turn. According to official findings, the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has been ruled a homicide by the medical examiner. That classification is not just a medical label, it carries legal weight, investigative urgency, and a profound impact on how the case is understood by the public. At its core, the term homicide simply means that a death was caused by another person. It does not, by itself, determine intent, motive, or guilt. But it does confirm one critical fact. This was not a natural death, nor an accident without human involvement. From this point forward, the case moves firmly into the realm of criminal investigation. And that shift matters, because before this ruling, there was uncertainty. There were questions without answers. In cases like this, early reports often leave space for speculation. What happened, who was involved, and whether there was any wrongdoing at all. But once a medical examiner reaches a conclusion like this, that uncertainty begins to narrow. Now, the focus changes. It is no longer just about understanding the cause of death. It becomes about accountability. Reports have also indicated that there has been an arrest connected to the case. While details remain limited, that development signals that law enforcement is actively moving forward, not just analyzing evidence, but taking action. An arrest suggests that investigators believe there is enough probable cause to connect an individual to the circumstances surrounding the death. However, it is important to stay precise here. An arrest is not a conviction. At this stage, the legal process is only beginning. The individual involved is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. That distinction is essential, especially in high-profile or emotionally charged cases where public opinion can move faster than verified facts. What makes this situation particularly sensitive is the human element behind the headlines. Celeste Rivas Hernandez is not just a name in a report. She is a person whose life ended under circumstances now confirmed to involve another individual. That reality brings weight to every update, every statement, and every piece of information released. And yet, despite the seriousness of the ruling, many details remain unclear. There is currently no fully confirmed public timeline outlining exactly what led to her death. The sequence of events, what happened before, during, and after, is still being pieced together. Investigators typically rely on a combination of forensic evidence, witness statements, and digital records to reconstruct these moments. That process takes time, and until it is complete, any attempt to fill in the gaps would be speculation. This is where responsible reporting becomes critical. In an age where information spreads instantly, there is often pressure to provide answers quickly. But speed does not equal accuracy. And in cases involving loss of life and potential criminal responsibility, accuracy is everything. So far, the confirmed facts remain limited but significant. The death has been officially ruled a homicide. Law enforcement has made an arrest connected to the case. The investigation is ongoing, with more details expected to emerge over time. Everything beyond that must be treated with caution. It is also worth noting how cases like this evolve in the public eye. Early narratives can shift dramatically as new evidence is introduced. What appears straightforward at first can become more complex. Motives, relationships, and circumstances often reveal themselves gradually, sometimes in ways that challenge initial assumptions. That is why restraint matters. Jumping to conclusions, assigning blame prematurely, or building narratives without confirmed evidence can distort the reality of the situation. It can also impact the people directly involved, from the victim's family to anyone connected to the investigation. From a legal standpoint, the next steps will likely involve formal charges, court proceedings, and continued evidence review. Prosecutors will need to establish not just that a homicide occurred, but the specific nature of that act, whether it was intentional, reckless, or the result of another form of criminal behavior. Each of those distinctions carries different legal consequences. For now, though, the case remains in a transitional phase. The medical examiner's ruling has provided clarity on one question: how Celeste Rivas Hernandez died. But it has also opened the door to many others: why it happened, how it unfolded, and what the final legal outcome will be. And those answers will not come instantly. They will emerge through investigation, through evidence, and ultimately, through the legal process itself. What comes next in a case like this is often where the story becomes even more complex, and in many ways more consequential. Once a death is officially ruled a homicide and an arrest has been made, the situation transitions fully into the judicial system. This means that what was once primarily a matter of investigation now becomes a matter of prosecution and defense. Evidence is no longer just being collected. It is being prepared to be challenged, examined, and tested in a court of law. This stage introduces a different kind of scrutiny. Investigators must ensure that every piece of evidence was obtained legally and can withstand examination. Defense attorneys will look for inconsistencies, gaps, or procedural errors. Prosecutors, on the other hand, will focus on building a narrative that clearly connects the accused to the act in question, supported by verifiable facts. And in a case already marked by the seriousness of a homicide ruling, the burden of proof becomes critical. In the United States legal system, that burden lies with the prosecution. They must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That standard is intentionally high, designed to protect against wrongful convictions. It also means that even when an arrest has been made, the outcome is far from certain. This is where public perception and legal reality often diverge. To the public, an arrest can feel like a conclusion, a sign that the case is essentially solved. But in reality, it is only one step in a much longer process. There may be pre-trial hearings, motions, evidence disclosures, and possibly even negotiations before a trial ever begins. And if the case does go to trial, it could take months, sometimes years, before a final verdict is reached. Another important aspect to consider is the role of motive. At this stage, there is no fully confirmed public explanation detailing why this incident occurred. Motive can play a significant role in how a case is prosecuted and understood. It helps provide context, turning a sequence of events into a coherent story. However, motive is not always required to secure a conviction. In many cases, physical evidence and factual timelines carry more weight than explanations of intent. Still, the absence of a clear motive often leaves the public searching for answers. Why did this happen? What led to this outcome? Was it preventable? These are natural questions, but they are also questions that must be answered carefully, based only on verified information. At the same time, the impact of the case extends beyond the courtroom. For the family and those who knew Celeste Rivas Hernandez, this is not just a legal matter. It is a personal loss, one that cannot be reduced to headlines or legal terminology. Every development in the case carries emotional weight, and the pace of the legal system can sometimes feel disconnected from the urgency of that grief. This human dimension is often overlooked, but it remains central to the story. Cases like this also highlight a broader issue: how society processes and reacts to violent incidents. Public discussions can quickly become polarized, especially when details are limited. Some people may rush to defend the accused, others to condemn them. Social media, in particular, can amplify these reactions, often without the benefit of full context. That environment makes it even more important to rely on confirmed facts rather than assumptions. So far, the verified information remains consistent. The medical examiner has ruled the death a homicide. Authorities have made an arrest in connection with the case. The investigation and legal process are ongoing. Everything else, including the full sequence of events, the relationship between those involved, and the ultimate legal outcome, is still developing. As the case progresses, more details will likely emerge through official channels such as court filings, law enforcement statements, and verified reporting. These updates will help fill in the gaps, providing a clearer picture of what happened and why. Until then, the most responsible approach is to remain grounded in what is known. No speculation, no assumptions, just facts as they are confirmed. Because in cases like this, accuracy is not just a matter of credibility, It is a matter of respect.